Goodness me, there's already people here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Manar. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Um, Good morning, chat and Chris. Good morning, everyone. Goodness me, there's already 70 people watching. Yeah, I've literally only just started. Greetings from Switzerland. Greetings to you too. I guess I don't really know what to do because basically how I actually really like to do TikTok lives, or that's what I really enjoyed the most, in a sense. I like doing TikTok lives, but you can't speak freely because I liked interacting with the chat. Sorry, I need to take my glasses off and clean them. Um, Sorry, I just need to clean my glasses. Sorry. What was I gonna say? I need to clean my glasses so I can so I can see. But yeah, what I like to do is interact with the chat. But I guess there's also a lot of news that people might want me to talk about. Obviously, I don't have anything as like I don't know eye-catching as sort of discussing what Ethan's up to. So probably less people interested today. But I mean, yeah, it's a bit. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just kind of getting used to. I don't know. I despise Israel to a point I didn't even know was possible. I mean, perhaps if we'd watched other colonial empires doing what they were doing and we heard as much and had as detailed accounts of what they were doing, we'd hate them even more. You know, like hearing up-to-date information about what the Belgians were doing to the Congolese, you know. Um, Hi, hello everyone who's joining. Genocide. It's with a G, but yeah, and also it's not spelled like that. It's okay. I think a lot of people had enough of Ethan. I mean, yeah, I could like spend more time eking out content of him, and I could eke out some of his like really extreme racism that's been going on over the last few days. But a big part of me is just like I don't know. I'm not. You know, I get like other people doing it, and I get I like that Hassan's doing a fundraiser tonight. I think that's a good thing. But it's just like a big part of me is just like God. I don't have any interest in talking about Ethan. I mean, I can cover the Israeli attacks on Yemen. I guess that's like a sort of big. It's definitely a big thing. I mean, it's sort of in standard practice with Israel in recent years of just destroying civilian infrastructure as a means to like punish and allegedly deter people. Genocide, laughing my ass off. I don't know if you're mocking genocide. I have been reading about genocide all day because I think I'm going to make a shorter form a shorter form YouTube video about like the Gaza genocide and why you should call it a genocide and why it's impossible not to call it a genocide, because there are still some people who deny it and it just doesn't really make sense, and I don't really agree with all of the things that people say as means to deny it, obviously, because I think it's very clearly and genocide. Have you covered the Houthis extending their blockade? Have they extended their blockade? I mean, I saw some video of Yahya Saree, their spokesman, claiming that they were going to attack Israel, but it remains to be seen whether they will and whether that's even plausible and what that would constitute. Yeah, I mean, Ethan is just a Zionist propagandist who isn't even very good at what he does, you know? I think he's a very bad Zionist propagandist, to be honest. He's pretty fucking bang average at what he does. Yeah, I mean, actually, I enjoyed going on Hassan's stream and watching the thing we watched together. You know, you could kind of see how much of a moron he is. Feels like Ethan business is finished since the two debates. Neither he nor his remaining audience is going to change their mind. Yeah, and watching the crew just like a people of sycophants, basically just talking to him and bigging him up and saying like how awesome he was. I think it's very difficult, you know, to see. It's very difficult to see him as ever changing his opinion, because the whole point was Ethan conceded like all of the points that everyone has been very upset with him. He said, oh, okay, it was insensitive to say I want to go on like a magical trip to Israel with my kids, you know, and all these things. And if you're going to just concede, then what's like the point? I mean, Hassan actually had like some specific name for the tactic, but it's just someone who doesn't want to confront why people why people want to confront him. Did Israel actually drop a nuke on Yemen? I don't think Israel would drop a nuke on Yemen. I just don't think that that's a thing that they do. There was someone claiming that they dropped one on Syria and they that it was some kind of significant weapon, but I don't know what it was. There was a video of them dropping a thermobaric weapon on the fucking hell. There's a very interesting video of one of Itamar Ben-Gvir's friends here, which I'll show in a second. Ethan's remaining audience are just his fanboys at this point. They're delusional at this point. Yeah, and I mean, I used to feel bad for people like Dan because I don't want anyone losing their jobs, but at this point, he's just enabling. I mean, I think they were always enabling Ethan, but like going on there, and that Zach guy's a moron as well. who just sat there and is like, oh, you know, I feel so upset by like what's going on. I understand Jewish people's feelings, but like, let's be honest here. People aren't targeting Ethan because of anti-Semitism, and Ethan isn't talking about reasonable anti-Semitism. He doesn't care about anti-Semitism. Literally all he cares about is cultivating an audience of people who hate Hassan so they stay loving him. Like, it's basically as simple as that, really. It would actually be awesome for you to go after the rhetoric of the big fishers, politicians in wider Europe and their media, English, German, Scandinavian, Polish. Well, I mean, I only speak German and English, and also my German's not very good. Well, actually, je parle un petit peu français. H3 is filled with DGG. Is that Destiny stuff? I'm not really that familiar with this stuff on the internet, like Destiny and stuff. It's never been something of interest to me. I just don't care, I'll be honest. But I know that they don't like me. But they haven't seemed to have had a big reaction to me being on Hassan. That's a very interesting... But I mean, also, like, let's just compare what Ethan is talking about and just listen to what an Israeli politician... So this is Almog Cohen. He was a big friend of... Benjamin Netanyahu. He's in the Jewish Power Party. He's a very interesting character. He's just an extremist racist. Why do you speak German? I learned it at school. Almog, what's going to happen in Gaza? What's going to happen in Gaza Strip? The IDF is going to break their bones. We will always remember what they did to us on October the 7th, what they did to our women, our children, our homes, and they're going to pay a heavy price.
מי שביניכם צופה עדיין בערוצי התרעלה והתבהלה רואה את אותם שורפי הסמים אומרים הפעם גם לא נתייצב. אז יש לי חדשות בשבילכם, אנחנו לא צריכים אתכם בכלל. יש לנו את הצבא החזק ביותר בעולם עם האריות והלוויות שהולכים לפרק את רצועת עזה. ותזכרו תמיד ש1,000 אמהות של אוהב יבכו ולא אמא אחת שלנו. עם ישראל חי, אה?
Israeli society is a very interesting place, you know. Israeli society is a very interesting place because watching all of these people like just be the, you know, dominant figures within it when they are so extreme is unbelievable. And I mean, they're just openly admitting that they're going to do genocide, like basically. I mean, just listen to what he says. Better to have one of their mothers, better to have thousands of their mothers crying than one of our mothers. It's insane rhetoric coming from people who are very intrigued by doing genocide. Sorry, I didn't have my light on. Good evening, Zeb. Good evening to everyone in the chat. They haven't paid a heavy price. I mean, of course they have, but I mean, people like this genuinely want to see Gaza wiped away. That's why I called this the Gaza Genocide Accelerates, because what their plan is to occupy the entirety of the Gaza Strip and wipe the entire thing away. Smotrich openly declared this today. I'll see if I can find it. Also, I keep thinking that I'll probably need to upgrade my PC because it is so loud at this point. It's whenever I open a Chrome tab. When I was talking to Hassan, I kept worrying that when I was opening Chrome tabs. I took a photo of it earlier. It might just be here. Let me just find this because Smotrich's comments were pretty fucking insane. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry. Oh my goodness, why am I having so much trouble navigating this very basic page? See how loud my computer is? Yeah, listen to this. This is Smotrich's comments on what's going to happen in Gaza. First live, thank you, Wizard Anon. I could actually catch. Yeah, I guess it was on the weekend, so people tend to be busy there. Chrome is infamously draining. Is it? I mean, I just don't know anything about it. I mean, it quite possibly is the problem, Chrome, yeah. It always takes up the vast majority of space on my PC. At this point, how intertwined is Israeli society and the Israeli state? Like, what is the difference other than minuscule peace movements? Nothing. Tom Segev made this point, an Israeli historian, you know, because people always, there's a small group of people who act as if, you know, this is like a Western perspective, that Israelis really oppose what's happening in Gaza, and it's just not true. Let me see if I can find it. I put this on the other day, but just look. I found myself at a demonstration on Azza Street near the grocery store where I shop, and it occurred to me that 200,000 people, that's what there is. The nation is not divided and not torn. There is no parity between the numbers of supporters and opponents of the regime coup. The nation supports Netanyahu. Who doesn't support him? The 200,000 people who are defending their status as an obsolete elite. This is Tom Segev, one of the most eminent Israeli historians, writing on Netanyahu, and I think he's increasingly right. If you had to recommend 1 to 3 books on it, which would those be? Preventing Palestine by Seth Anziska, I think, is brilliant. I think Preventing Palestine, neoliberal apartheid, and probably neither settler nor native. Neoliberal apartheid is by Andy Clarno, and it's also about South Africa post 1994. And also, I would recommend, as I would recommend neither settler nor native. It's got a great chapter on Palestine, the Nazis, Native Americans, and stuff. Thank you. I cannot read your name. I don't read. Is that Chinese? I'm not sure. But yeah, those would say. Are you for a two-state solution, or do you think the conflict has gone too far to implement it? I mean, I read articles by Israelis in the 1980s. I'll see if I can find it. Let me see if I can just find this. Over 40% is having the settlers remain under Palestinian sovereignty law. That's one of the. Yeah, I mean, I can't find what I was looking for, but I would say that the main core issue with sort of this stuff to do with Japanese, my mistake. I'd say that this racism. I do apologize deeply. Gazans eat sand. I'm not sure if you're being racist or if you just mean that the people are reduced to eating sand, but I don't think people are yet reduced to eating sand because sand surely doesn't have any sustenance. I assume that you're maybe just being racist. I do not have I do not have a Discord. Oh, sorry, on the topic of the two-state solution. I oppose a two-state solution because it doesn't address the key Palestinian demand of the right to return. And I think the case of South Africa is indicative of this. If you do not center the indigenous population, the native population who have suffered the greatest far more greatly, and you do things like enshrine private property or say like, well, Israelis are allowed to keep the houses in the land of Palestinians that they've stolen in 1948 and also in recent years. That would also be the thing. I watched a video of someone saying, well, Americans aren't guilty for what their ancestors did. And I think in many ways you're not. But in the case of Israel, it's been systemic dispossession ever since. And also in the case of America, you live off the profits of what was once done to the native and indigenous communities. So neoliberal apartheid preventing Palestine and neither settler nor native. What originally got you into studying Palestine? Actually, just one thing. Neither settler nor native is written by Zoran Mamdani's dad, who is like a Ugandan political theorist. I have Brave, but I'm not sure why. I mean, I think that there is something wrong with my browser, because anytime it's turned on, it's causing major issues for my computer, so I don't know. Have you read any Nurit Peled? No, I've never read Nurit Peled. I've read her dad, or is it her brother, who is Yoav Peled. There's loads of Peleds, aren't there? But yeah, I've read a decent amount about Palestinian education, but not that much. How would the implementation of a one-state solution work? Would it be a two-state solution with an expanding neutral zone that eventually becomes one state? I just legitimately want to know. So, I mean, if you want to really know, the main people working on it are these people. Oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want to... I also hate when Chrome's like, continue your browsing history. Like, no, I want to... This is the thing that Ilan Pape and stuff talk about. This is the One Democratic State campaign that they are like engaged in. To decolonize historical Palestine from the river to the sea by establishing a One Democratic State campaign. It's a Palestinian-led initiative that intentionally refrains from prescribing the exact form and structure of a future Palestinian state, viewing this as exclusive prerogative of the Palestinian liberation movement. Instead, it outlines broad principles that have been introduced and redefined by activists. So this is kind of the point. People are asking you, when people ask you, like, what do you expect? Goodness me, is that I'll respond to these in a second. But yeah, I think like in terms of what they're saying, they are basically saying at one point we will move towards a two-state solution, but they are basically saying that this will be a longer process, engaged through negotiations and stuff. I love that I got to know you from all that Ethan Klein drama. And now I'm learning so much from you. I mean, I think that was kind of always the point that I'd made. I don't want to talk about drama perfectly, and I saw a video of a Palestinian, I think they were Palestinian, getting quite upset over the attention that Ethan's debate with Hassan received. And I mean, it's hardly surprising, but it is difficult to, Hassan covers the Gaza Strip every day, and he had 100,000 viewers that day, and of course it was a significant event, but like, it's just difficult in the sense that most people just don't care about what's happening in Gaza. Like, Hassan will probably receive an insane amount of viewers today because he's streaming about, the content nuke. He's watching it. But the other problem is that And I guess it's kind of indicative of how Hassan could have more viewers if he wanted. But yeah. Love your stuff, man. Just finished my international relations degree. Your stuff is genuinely great. Thank you, HTL. Is there anything governments are doing to stop Israel? I haven't been following this, so it's so heartbreaking, but I still tune in when I can. Thanks for the education and content. No, there's nothing that governments... there are nothing that governments do. There is nothing that Western governments are willing to do. Western governments don't want to stop Israel. There are some who say that they're willing to recognize a Palestinian state, but ultimately, I think the two-state solution is a means of kicking the can down the road. Also, I was just looking what currency that was. Thank you to the person in South Africa who donated. Shout out South Africa. But it's just yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. Thank you for reminding me. The Content Nuke stream is a fundraiser. I'm not critiquing Hassan. It's a great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea. Do you think Hassan is partially doing this for views? No, because I don't think Hassan really needs views. I suppose there's the sense of educating people, and that's like a big thing. Like, I think it's a means to, like, in the same way that, like, Noah Samson didn't really make a drama video, did he? He made a video that was much more about, much more just about genocide. I hate the concept of if I'm not responsible for my ancestors because guilt or culpability is irrelevant. And to be honest, okay, so then what? It's okay for people to rot because their ancestors did too. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, it's more just like people. I guess it's like this thing of when I was first taught about it wasn't when I was first taught, but one of the first lectures I had on the British Empire. He said to me, one of our lecturers, who was himself not from the UK, he said, "You should never feel guilt or pride in the British Empire, especially pride, obviously, but that was just a given." And I don't think he thought anyone who was going to be studying with him was going to be really proud of what the British Empire is. But I think the thing is that what he meant is that you don't want to. You don't want to have a perspective where you're just proud of what the British Empire did, or just shameful, because if you're shameful, you'll never be able to offer any kind of succinct analysis, and it'll always be coloured by that. And I don't necessarily feel shame, because it isn't something that I did, but I want to change the here and now, and the things that it did. It is, of course, a shameful period of history, and awful, shameful things are done, but it is not a shame that I directly feel. I would rather deal with the here and now and try and work on changing that. Hence why Palestine is obviously very important, and I mean, there are many other countries who are like that, but yeah. Chris, HC says Destiny Football, there might be some hate incoming. I don't really care. I've been live on TikTok for a very long time, and I have had people say the most insane things to me, so it's not really the end of the world, people saying mean things to me, it's shame. It's not shame, it's recognition. Exactly. You do not want to gloat and glorify colonialism. Yeah, I think that's probably what I would say. Okay, Johan Sven, Ethan absolutely destroyed Hassan. Great. I don't care. That's your shitty opinion that is clearly just not indicative of what was actually said and done. Love your stuff. I plan to start a podcast interviewing people that have suffered at the hands of Western Empire. That would be very interesting. That would be a very interesting podcast. I mean, there's so many different examples to talk about. There's more than enough to feel shame about. Exactly. Can you end? Back to your nap, kid. We woke here. I remember that time you mentioned the Zionists calling you Harry Potter in the Chamber of Hostages. That was very funny, though. I haven't published my thesis. It's called Reorientalism, How the United Arab Emirates Uses Orientalism to its Own Benefit, or something to that effect. And it's basically about how the UAE... There's loads of videos. I mean, I can show you a video of... I can show you a video of the UAE... hold on, I'll do it. You know what? I'm going to keep this open, but I'm going to do this fire. They will come. I'll see if Firefox calms down my. Fuck. Oh, fuck me. Why is it installing updates? Sorry, 1 second. I'll just read chat whilst it's doing that. Has Russia or North Korea or any other powers reacted to the going? I mean, North Korea is pretty supportive of Hamas in the sense of that they give Hamas weapons. And also Korea has a bit of a shared history, but North Korea has a pretty shared history with what Israel is doing to Gaza right now in terms of what the Americans did to North Korea. They firebombed it and people ended up living in caves. My favourite three-head, appreciate the work. Thank you. Has Russia or North Korea? But yeah, I mean, Russia might say one thing and condemn America, but yeah. They might condemn America, but it's literally just a means to do it. They don't really care. oh, do you do a video on Sudan? I've done videos on Sudan, but not for a while. Just because, I mean, I haven't even spoken about the ICJ case, which I quite like to do. My goodness, my PC. I need a new one, right? I need to, it's not even that shit, it works.
Imagine entering
I
your...
don't have ad block on this, so hold on. And I need to put my headphones on, which I hate. 1 second.
Or there will come a day.
So this is what my dissertation was effectively about. This is the UAE's foreign minister.
That we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
So this is kind of what I'm talking about in my dissertation. So basically, and by the way, quite a lot of the UK's most racist, Islamophobic extremists really like people like this. Douglas Murray, for example, loves the United Arab Emirates, and people hold them up. People hold the United Arab Emirates up basically as an example and say, well, look, they hate Islamic extremists. They actually began doing it in UAE. I'll see if I can find it. This is it. Here it is. Look, this is where it comes from. This white savior men knows more than actual Arabs. I don't care if someone is an Arab. I don't care about identity politics. Why do you think if I need to care what the foreign minister of a genocidal dictatorship has to say? Like, has Douglas Murray been... Douglas Murray has been to the United Arab Emirates. He likes to talk about it. There's a thing of him talking about it. Laughing my ass off, that video pause. I don't know if you're saying... Do you have a Patreon? Yeah, I have a Buy Me a Coffee where I think you can monthly subscribe now. Once this is all over, they are going to... But thank you for your current donation. I mean, it's no obligation to. Once this is all over, they're going to blame it all on Hamas and the right wing in Israel. Exactly. I mean, I think that's the thing. And they'll say that we need a two-state solution and that they'll just keep kicking the can down the road and refuse to do anything. Refuse to do anything meaningful and make meaningful change in Palestine because it's much easier to just pretend about this. But this is a WikiLeaks document from ages ago. This is Mohammed bin Zayed. The Middle East is not California. Mohammed bin Zayed entered, immediately focusing the discussion on the phenomenon of elections, and asked why the US supports elections in the Middle East, given the results in places like Palestine. Burns explained the American commitment to the democratic process and noted that even the Palestinians, despite unhappiness with the Hamas electoral victories, now have more sophisticated political life than was the case 20 years ago, and a political system that would over the time promote stability. MBZ said he did not agree with promoting elections. If we want to make peace, the Middle East, he insisted, is not California. In the post-9/11 world, in any Muslim country, you will see the same result. While members of US Congress and Senate are loyal to their states and their constituencies, the masses in the Middle East would tend to go with their hearts and vote overwhelmingly for the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood are not a terrorist organization, why? It is an utter lie. But basically, what the United Arab Emirates do is they sell these ideas that they're like the good civilized Arabs who are different from the other Arabs. They're not like barbarous, they're not Muslims, they're like different, they're good and the moral. These are the people that we need to stand with, basically. They even have like these weird social media accounts that do influence operations. Like, I'm just going to block you if you're going to say, this kid never stepped foot in Israel. How do you fucking expect me to go to Israel when they would literally just ban me from the country if I went and asked to go through my phone? Like, what do you want? But, we're with you, white boy. Everyone in the MENA region knows what these people are. Yeah, exactly. These people... I mean, I think AB sort of engages in it in service of Ethan. I think he sells this vision of I am Middle Eastern, and I think that look, I don't care about I don't care about this stuff, but I do think his comments to Anthony on Do Not Worry were pretty outrageous, because I don't think Anthony at all gives off like barbarous Arab vibes. I think that's a pretty fucked thing to say, because the only place that you might find barbarous as an applied term is when you apply it to like a really violent sectarian organization like fucking ISIS. I do think that saying that about ISIS, if you're willing to deploy the same words about like the US government and their behavior that that you would say that is barbarous, then that's fine. But I think calling another Arab barbarous for not even really any clearly defined reason is very, interesting. Love Anthony. I mean, Anthony seems like a great guy. Also, by the way, one of the things I will say on the topic of Douglas Murray is, literally just think about how easy it is to lie about Iran using the exact same technique. If you have been to Iran and you can say, well, Iran is a good, nice place, you can do these things. You can say, well, Iran is, you can say, like, Iran is good, moral, nice, and all of these things, and that Iran is really awesome. And because most people haven't been, and most people will never go, they will never know whether what you are saying about their regime is true. And some people might tell you, well, actually, the regime is horrible, but, if you've been, it doesn't matter, even if they are. And I also don't love this whole, use of identity as a means to justify this. Israel kind of birthed ISIS in a little oopsie. I mean, it was more in terms of, the thing is that it was, the real genesis comes from the Western... If you want to read about this, there's a really good essay and a book. It's called Carbon Democracy by Timothy Mitchell, but I spoke about this in my video about Alica Leon. McJihad by Timothy Mitchell. It's basically his thesis, and I do believe this to be true, is that predominantly regimes that are closest with... I actually just banned you, but then the image wouldn't go away, and you're still here. Wait, what? Why is it not blocking you? Why are you still hidden? Eunuchs are us. You are such weird people. You are such weird people calling me a eunuch. Very, very, very strange comment. I'm Jewish with family in Israel. I don't think I would be allowed in due to my public profile. I wouldn't feel safe within it either. I've been threatened by Zionists plenty of times. I mean, Zionists are very violent against, they say heinous things about Jewish people. I mean, Ethan was calling fucking, what's his name, a capo, Matt Lieb, basically, and Jewish Voice for Peace. Have you heard about the West's attempts to take out Ibrahim Traore? No, I actually haven't, but I don't know. I do know about him. I made a video about him years ago. Laughing my ass off. I used to be a eunuch. I don't think you could be a eunuch and used to be. I don't think that's possible. Chris, can you make a community post with books and essays to read? Yeah, I will at some point. I keep meaning to do it, but then I get engrossed in things. Because I was thinking... There's quite a few things that I want to do. So I want to do something called The Genocide Accelerates and make a shorter video and hopefully get that done over the next couple of days, and then I want to make a longer one about Douglas Murray. Is it Barca and Inter tonight? I thought it was Arsenal versus what's it called? Oh my god, there's a glitch. I can just refresh it. I don't know why I'm being so stupid. Make a shorter video for a second. Love your coverage. You are enigmatic. I don't take it to heart, though. I prefer the British self-deception. What's a capo? A capo refers to a Jewish person who collaborated with the Nazis during the Holocaust. Living in a place makes you more likely to be knowledgeable about an average. But averages make you forget that there are always grown adults that do not know the capital. But also, I wouldn't, I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't trust just someone... If someone is an expert in something, I wouldn't trust someone to tell me... I wouldn't trust someone who is British and lives in Britain more than someone who is from a different country and is an expert in it just by virtue of their Britishness. In the same way that I wouldn't... I wouldn't trust someone who is from Britain to just tell me that they know more about Britain than other people. This guy has a clearly fucking... As in, Abdullah bin Zayed. He's not predicting the French riots. He has a... How are you still here? How are you still here? This is unbelievable. Oh, God. Glad you're streaming. Thank you. Who did the same. I can't understand how a Muslim migrant rooted person cannot show the same nuance and empathy for Palestinians that other people do and cannot relate. I guess that some people want to get away from it, in a sense. I don't know how I unbanned you. I've clearly done it myself. Very interesting. But yeah, I just don't trust someone by virtue of them having lived in a place. I just don't trust... do I trust a random British guy to tell me that the economic problems of the UK? No, not really. Let's keep the troll as a pet. I mean, it's sometimes interesting, but that guy's been here a lot, and it's just do you even been, bro? I mean, also, what would... I guess if you go to certain places, your ethnographic research would be better, but what does it really matter? I think I accidentally unbanned him myself. There are already 700 people here, which is quite exciting. Sorry, I need to... Chris, it was great seeing you on Hassan Piker's Twitch channel. Hopefully you two will collaborate more in the future. Hopefully the Qatari government pays for more appearances on Hassan's channel for me. I guess it is like actually mothers telling that they know how to teach in terms of yeah, that is interesting. I'm Irish living in the UK for 6 years, and I would never claim to be an expert on UK politics, for fuck's sake. I mean, yeah, and I've lived in the UK, and I don't think I'm an expert in UK politics. I've not studied it enough, you know. It's not my area of expertise. On British foreign affairs, maybe, like talking about Sudan and United Arab Emirates. I mean, I was planning on sort of getting to the news today. There was an interesting Haaretz article about how... Oh my goodness, Benjamin Khoury. Hey CK, thanks for all you do, mate. I started watching you because a friend sent me one of your TikToks on Alica Leon, who we knew in real life and now no one in London fucks with anymore. Wait, you know Alica Leon in real life? That is unbelievable. You're like a bona fide hero of mine. But I actually feel kind of sorry with you. I don't know if you've seen my video on here, but when I made my video on here, I had to watch a lot of Alica Leon. In the same way, in the last few days, I have watched I have watched an obscene amount of Douglas Murray, and both of them have done irreparable damage to my mind. What made you interested in Middle Eastern studies? So it was actually you know how like life is all based on fate. It was a tiny bit of a fuck up that I ended studying the Middle East. So in my secondary school, we had like a thing on Middle Eastern studies, like a unit in history, and I loved it. Like I was really interested. But I thought at university, I really wanted to go and study history at Exeter, and then I fucked up my A-levels, and then I got into Exeter on clearing to do Middle Eastern studies, and it was the best decision I've ever made. Very, very lucky. And if I'd got better grades, I would have ended up doing, you know, things. And part of the reason that I didn't get the best grades was there was other things going on in my life at the time, and also I just retreated into myself towards the end of my exams. Hold on. Will GTA 6 have an effect on Israeli soldiers? No, because GTA 6, like most games, probably won't feature the ability to kill children. So actually, maybe you'll see like a video of them smashing their televisions and such, because, yeah. My goodness, you have... It really does... Like... I have consumed content on the internet since I was very young, and never once did I make multiple YouTube students so I could come on and comment on people's YouTube channels, you know. It is really sad. It is really sad. So I didn't accidentally unban you. You came back. It's times like this I wish I could have gone for history instead of geology. It sounds so interesting. Middle East was very interesting. I love the Middle East. How does he keep coming back? Because he has loads of accounts. Like, that's just the truth of it. Any advice for combating pinkwashing for the Middle East? Want to get my queer community to understand. I think the truth is just saying that, like, Israel is not a bastion of human rights, and I think that the problems of Palestine, problems of, like, gay rights, women's rights in Palestine are much more indicative of the fact of, like, look, Western society has many problems with queer rights, LGBTQ plus rights, and all of these things. And we are allegedly the progressive ones who have democracy and all of these things. And Palestine is a movement for liberation, a movement towards establishing, you know, something better for the region. And I think that that's kind of the point of it. By the way, this is actually, I don't know if it's mentioned here. Let me see if I can hear. Here it is. So part of what they believe in the one-state solution is an alignment with progressive regional actors. The campaign will align political forces in the Arab world struggling for democracy, social justice, and egalitarian societies free from tyranny. If you look who is supporting Israel, it is some of the most tyrannical and really racist and regressive regimes in the Middle East. It is people like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, like the UAE feigns being, you know, pro-women's rights and stuff, but the UAE is an authoritarian regime that does not give a fuck about spying on its citizens and stuff. What do you think of what's happening with the Kurds, and why do they seemingly not get any coverage despite them being the largest ethnic group without a state? In what sense? I mean, I guess in part, like, the Kurdish experience varies from place to place, in the sense of, like, in Iraq, the Kurdish experience right now, it's not perfect, and I know there are many troubles in Iraqi Kurdistan, or Kurdistan of Iraq. But I mean, I guess the reason that it doesn't get as much coverage is because people view it as like a Middle Eastern issue. There's less information. Like, one of the reasons that that Palestine receives so much attention, right? The reason that the UAE that Palestine receives so much attention is because it has been portrayed since its inception as a battle of Western civilization against barbarism. Because of this, Western eyes are always drawn to this. Western media knows that Israel is very important for its regional goals in the Middle East, and therefore ensuring that there is never, ever, ever change in relation to that and the status of Israel as a means to enforce its region, help enforce Western regional goals, you know, it's kind of like this thing of it will always receive more attention. I think that's kind of the truth. They'd throw you off a building. Yeah, you would do it if you could too, lol. I mean, if you're talking about a lot of right-wing bigots, I think you are completely correct on that. Chris, are you on the Zaza? No, I haven't been on the Zaza in a decent amount of time, actually. It's not the best of habits. It's a way to escape from confronting how you really feel about life and things, and really, I don't know, escaping like the most traumatic things that are going on really in your life, I think. It's also the birthplace of major Western religions. Are you working on a YouTube video? Yeah, I am working on a YouTube video, but I'm kind of deciding what to do. I'm kind of thinking about doing a video about Douglas Murray and him being like the polite face of religious extremism. Of right-wing extremism, and his like rising stardom as like a right-wing extremist. Or I'm thinking about doing one about maybe, I don't know, the Gaza Genocide accelerating. Have you seen ICJ? I mean, I saw the ICJ rejecting Sudan's attempt to bring the UAE before it, and it's very difficult. I'm upset by it. I really hope that there's a chance that they can. I really hope that there's a chance that they can bring it before that there's a like bigger chance of them succeeding, but it's really unfortunate. It's in the same way that I don't understand why the ICJ didn't go as far as they did for Ukraine. Byline Times. Let me see if I can find it. I was reading this earlier. This is. Let me just see. Ukraine. In fudging. It should not have been difficult for the ICJ to insist, as Indian judge Dalvia Bahandari put it, in an individual opinion, that all fighting and hostilities must come to an immediate halt, making that an instruction in the case of Israel. It did not have direct jurisdiction over Hamas, since the organisation is not a state, but Hamas had indicated that it would join a ceasefire. In fudging this issue, the court has not even gone as far as it did in 2022, when it requested the cessation of military operations by Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. Of course, it is said that Russia ignored that measure, as though that makes it justifiable for the court not to issue it on Gaza. However, the situations are very different. Russia is a great power and has implicit backing of China and much of the South, including in its own version of hypocrisy, South Africa. Israel is a small and regionally isolated state, opposed by the South and reliant almost entirely on the West, where public support is draining by the minute. Israel's serious defence of the case in the ICJ showed how much is at stake for it. A court ruling that directly challenged its military rationale would certainly have made it more difficult for it to continue its destruction. I don't think that's necessarily true, looking at now, because obviously the ruling has had no effect on Israel in spite of the significance of it. This is by Martin Shaw. But yeah, like, it would have mattered. It would have mattered and meant something. It may be obvious that Israel's justifications are nonsensical and deceitful, but these justifications matter. By phrasing its measures in the terminology of the convention rather than in the military language that Israel itself adopts, the court allows Israel to claim that since, of course, it upholds the convention and has not been asked to cease its military operation, it is not obliged to do so. Let me just see if I can find it. Yet, despite all these two glimpses of blah, 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 had asked the court to instruct Israel to immediately, these requests were not vindictive, still less a denial of Israel's right to defend its population. The state evidently retained the right and the capacity to protect its citizens, even though it had failed to exercise it effectively on October the 7th. What these measures demanded was that Israel cease its aggressive military campaign, which the court evidently agreed was directed as much against the civilian population as against Hamas. The reason that the requested wording was essential was that Israel itself claimed, and continues to, even after the verdict, that it is fighting only Hamas and other armed groups. If civilians are suffering, it is because the enemy holds them. This is nonsense, because Israel permits its force outrageously loosely. I mean, this is true. This is basically the thing. Anyone who is working to defend what Israel does is ridiculous. And just the ICJ, I mean, it's kind of really unfortunate. In a sense, it's great that Israel's brought before it and, you know, it's held up and we can see, like, there's a direct track record of, hey, Israel was told to bring in aid and it has refused to do so. But ultimately, it's really difficult. Are we allowed to send links if they're irrelevant? I think so. I don't know if the thing will just deal with it. Dunk, bullshit. I don't know if you mean the ICJ ruling or what I'm saying. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, I know, I'm muted. Live and work in Israeli community and appreciate your content. Trying to deprogram myself and my kids. Very helpful. I think it's very difficult because in the sense of like Israelis are always, saying that they're very fearful of what's happening. But I think it's very important to talk about in the context of basically Israel is basically perpetrating genocide and always has been. And I mean, it must be difficult working in an Israeli community because I like, regardless of what people say, the vast majority of Israelis hold very genocidal views. And I think I always find it difficult. I was in an airport recently and there were some Israelis sat behind me. And, you don't just want to hold like hatred for people who you have no idea about who and what they are. But there was also just the sense of like, maybe these people participated in the Gaza genocide. Sorry. Would having less Islam in the country revert private dentistry back to the NHS dentistry in the UK? Yeah, 100%. These Muslims, they love dentistry, and it's a key part of Islam to take away all dentistry from good white English people, What happened to the ICC and their warrant against Benjamin Netanyahu? Did they just get off the judge or something? Or does the ICC... The ICC has no power, and both of these courts have no power. They expect people to enforce these warrants, but no one does anything about it. That's basically what happened. Neither of these two wanted to enforce it, so that's kind of how it ends. If you don't enforce it, if you don't have these countries who are meant to enforce it, enforcing it, this is kind of what happens. This disillusionment I have with seeing the ICJ and ICC ruling, but nothing changing, is just a more horrific version of becoming an adult and realizing adults aren't uniquely... Yeah, and I mean, it's also just indicative of the international order was never for Palestinians. Like, every single law points to the fact that Palestinians have a right to live independently, that they do not need to be occupied by Israel, and yet Israel is allowed to keep on doing it, and they will keep on being until the West changes and allows themselves, to do it. Make teeth white again. Indeed, I need that. Does that really go through your mind when you see a random person from Israel? If I see someone speaking Hebrew, the vast majority of people from Israel do have very extremist beliefs. Like, I mean... This is a seemingly lower one from Al Monitor. Who even funds Al Monitor? Where's it fucking from? I don't know. Apparently 69% of Israelis are supportive of... By the way, like, just 69% of people being supportive of what Israel is going to do to the Palestinians. I think it's very difficult. Person of colour are around white elder people. You don't want to assume how they feel towards... I mean, I would agree with you. I feel very often that I don't want to talk to most elderly people about my politics, truth be told. I don't want to have arguments with people about things where I'm never going to change their mind, and I feel a bit uncomfortable around them, which is probably a bad assumption to have, but, what can you do? Okay, I got a good question for everyone. When did you find out that Israel was a really messed up place? When I was 16, that was when I first started reading about it. If you saw someone speaking German in 1945, I mean, a lot of old people still feel like that about Germans, about the way that they're speaking it, because of obviously their hatred after the war. I'm not going to hate Jewish people, and I'm not going to hate, every single Israeli, but I do feel that think about the vast majority of... I mean, I don't know if any of you saw this. There was a video of this, of Shahil Ben Epstein guy who believes that Israel is committing genocide. I'll show you it. Sorry, there's something Trump's up to. Trump, we will have a very big announcement before my visit to the Middle East. There is good news that we will not disclose now. This comes from Tama. Apparently Trump is saying some things. What this means, I don't fucking know, because Israel is saying that it's going to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip. Could you persuade Hassan to let you come on stream? It's his choice. I'm not going to beg Hassan for anything. We need a global protection agency with no government involvement, like Cecil from Invincible. I mean, the problem is I'd say that that's actually kind of a problem of superhero movies. They kind of convince us that this kind of force is going to come in and save us. Like, I kind of felt this way when I was watching No Other Land. You watch No Other Land. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but when I watched No Other Land, I just had this really strong feeling of I would have really liked someone to come in and just stop it, because it was so difficult to see what was actually happening in the I understand what happens in the West Bank. His name is not Shahil. I don't actually know what his name is. I think that's his name. Shale Ben Epstein. That's his name. Shael. But yeah, I mean,
Absolutely
yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, most Israelis hold very problematic views. I know someone's going to clip chimp me for saying that, but I do find it. I don't care. I stick by it. Trust me, Germans in their tank are like Germans with their beer. It's the tech of it. Chris, would you make an OnlyFans with Hassan? Yeah, armpit content. No, his name is Sahel. He's not. He's Israeli. I don't know if I'll see if I can find it. There's a video of him with Is it Sahel? How have I... Shael, sorry. There's a video, there's a thing of Zay Squirrel saying some heinous things. Sahel. Let me see if I can find it. I was not... Let me see if I can just find it. He was like, Owen Jones had him on recently. Let me see if I can find it. I definitely have it bookmarked. Give me 1 second. I had a few things that I wanted to talk about. Oh shit, actually there was one thing. This is how this, by the way, if you're always asking me for things that you should read and look at, you should start reading and watching this guy. You should start reading this guy, Yunus Tirawi. He just published the name of one of the Israeli soldiers who did the massacre the other day. He published the name of them who did the massacre in Rafah. He's done loads of investigative work. It's really, really good stuff. Matan Ben David is his name. Like, just exposing the Israelis and what they're doing. He also, as I showed the other day, has like a long list of people who are doing genocide. Let me just see if I can find what I was looking for. Sorry, I have a lot of saved videos. There are so many saved videos of Ethan Klein here. Okay, I didn't even fucking save it, so that's annoying. I probably liked it, but I'm not... Oh, my likes are going to be way too wide, so I'm not going to do that. Tama is very helpful too. I've seen over 20 photos of starving Palestinian children, and it's only today, and it's only 2 a.m. Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult. It's very difficult because what is, like, the end goal? Israel is now saying, oh my goodness, hello Noah Samson. I don't know why you just put here. Hello Noah. Why did you just put here in? That's mad. Good to see you. Everyone's just going to say, hi Noah. I literally couldn't find No Other Land in any theatres. Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. No Other Land is a... Look, I said this, but I was away. I was in Italy when all of the discourse came up. The criticism of No Other Land was not fair. Because Yuval Abraham's speech may have been bad. Yuval Abraham's speech may not have been good. It was actually very problematic. But the actual film is not problematic. The film is not. There are great Palestinian documentaries. And by the way, there's another one available on YouTube called Anna's Children that's really fucking interesting. I'll message you, lol. Thank you. What will you message me on? Instagram, I'm guessing. I have heard of Folk Bernadotte. He's Swedish. I don't really remember much about him, but he got assassinated, didn't he? Yeah. I thought you'd be in jail by now. Yeah. Abby Martin, /Empire, great /Envies. I had to go to the Palestinian embassy to watch it. That is insane. Noah the Land. Noah the Land. Yeah, I was talking about Noah. Let me see what this is. Thank you, Noah. That is exactly what I was looking for. But unfortunately, I'm logged into the wrong Instagram on here, so I'm going to have to send it to my private Instagram account that I made for a very specific reason. It wasn't to stalk people, it was to follow an account that had blocked me from my university. This is what I'm looking for.
So
this is like this guy on Twitter who like has recently said Israel is perpetrating genocide.
I did absolutely believe that a lot of people were using the genocide claims and the blood and as a blood libel. And I still believe that, honestly. Yes, I am a Zionist. I'll tell you why. I do believe it's not practical to have a one-state solution for several reasons. First reason is Israelis will never agree to it. They will die to the last Israeli with the last gun before they agree to it. The point, the reason, let me finish. The reason that Israelis don't trust the Palestinians is because from day one of the Zionist movement, they've been trying to destroy the Zionist movement. There's a response here. They lost. They took on a movement they thought was weaker than they were, and they lost. And that's.
I considered tweeting about that part because the Zionist movement was weaker. It literally just had an imperial backer. That's the only reason it succeeded. I haven't seen what Owen Jones says. I mean, I was annoyed at him having him on, but I've not actually watched the documentary, the interview, so I can't really talk about what Owen Jones says. But yeah, I mean, even to use the term blood libel in terms of genocide is really, really weird.
A historical fact now, and they gambled, which was a good gamble from their perspective, on destroying the Zionist movement, which was.
And by the way, early Palestinian resistance did actually have some successes in the sense that, and this is talked about in, if you want to read about, one of the best books to come out in recent years is by Arish Sabag-Khoury. It's about Zionist dispossession coming from the left. It's called Colonizing Palestine. And one of the things she talks about is how people often like to say, like, Palestinian resistance was pointless. But the British at multiple points told Israelis not to expand into Palestinian territory because they said, well, if you do, you're going to cause problems for us. Yeah, Owen Jones does have some problematic views on certain things, I think, when it comes to Palestine, especially on the two-state solution very close to after it.
Very weak. The Zionist movement cleverly used diplomacy, state building, and military power to defeat the Palestinian nationalist movement, and it was a fair fight, and it won.
My God, that is such a weird take. Like, honestly, this is also just really incongruent with what actually happened in Palestine. So there's actually a really interesting TikTok account that I really quite like, because it features people who I think are pretty good sometimes. I don't know if they're, like, a lot of them are liberal, but this guy here is, oh, for fuck's sake. This guy here is Zachary Loachman.
One could argue that Israel really hasn't won a war.
And he like talks about things like how Israel hasn't won a war. But this article by Zachary Loachman is really good. Let me just have a look. Here we go. So this is Zachary Loachman's writing. So if you want to read this, it's called Land, Labour and the Logic of Zionism, a review by Zachary Loachman. Isn't this the guy? I don't know who the bodied on Piers Morgan, but anyway, this is what he says. Here we go. As a result, until the end of the Second World War, most of the state action and coercion required to facilitate the success of Zionism in the face of increasingly vociferous Palestinian Arab opposition to a Jewish majority and Jewish state in Palestine was exercised not by the Zionist movement itself, but by the British colonial state. Indeed, without British support and protection, the Zionist project in Palestine would simply not have gotten very far. It is, for example, highly doubtful that even after almost 2 decades of larger-scale immigration, settlement and development under British protection, the Yishuv, on its own, could have withstood the 1936-39 Palestinian Arab revolt against British colonial rule and Zionism, nor would it have been able to develop demographically, militarily, politically, economically and socially to the point at which it could challenge British control of Palestine in 1945-7, and then go on to defeat its Palestinian and Arab enemies and seize control of 3/4 of the country. It's categorically true, and he's just out here calling it a fair fight.
Nothing to be gained, and this is your problem, Owen. There's nothing to be gained by demonizing one of the sides. Right now, Israel's committing a genocide, and that's evil, but...
There's nothing to be gained by demonizing one of the sides. It's not fucking demonizing, it's just talking about Israel clearly. It's not demonizing them. And I don't think anyone demonizes Israel by talking about Israel doing a genocide. It's talking about it like it's actual what it's doing. It's practically confronting what Israel and Zionism was going to culminate in always. Like, it's just utterly ridiculous. It's just utterly ridiculous. Like, I cannot believe that you would call that demonization and pretend that you're somehow pro-Palestine and that you actually think there's a genocide. Because if you think there is a genocide is the crime of all crimes. It is a combination of a multitude of different crimes targeted against a population with the sort of, depending on whose definition of genocide you take. I like Martin Shaw's, he's quite good. But like, if you choose his definition of genocide, you know, you're basically looking at all of these crimes put together to basically understand what Israel is and what it does. when your abuser gets mad at you for making them look bad by telling people what they're doing. Exactly. I have seen the Channel 14 producer demanding gas chambers for the Gaza Strip. I mean, also, we watched the video of, what's his fucking name? Oh, shit, I meant to do something. Shit. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I'll just be 1 second. Also, thank you for all the people watching. It's kind of crazy that, we've done so few live streams and there's already 800 of you in here. I just want to... but yeah, I have seen it. Found you through Do Not Worry. Love your work. Thank you, man. I'm a big fan of theirs. I like what I've seen of them. Worst crime ever. But exactly. Same energy as Ethan criticizing me as anti-Semitic. Exactly. I mean, I guess I said I didn't want to watch anything from Ethan, but I guess I'm not going to make TikToks or anything about it, and I'm not going to be making a video. I was thinking about talking about Ethan's extremist racism, but there is one clip from yesterday that I wanted to watch, which is this.
Maybe the clip that everybody was.
Because I guess I spoke about it a bit on Hassan, but
nope. Are you asking me?
That the way Hassan approached this is the clip that everybody keeps reposting.
Nope. Are you asking me?
About how he says, well, your failure to address
the suffering, both parties need to address both parties' sufferings.
Okay, well, I remember that part of the debate, yeah.
Well, anyway, it got clipped a bunch. I think it's the top of the week if you send that along.
There's the clip. Go look for the clip.
But, I'm not going to apologize for I'm defending literally. I'm literally sitting here defending my people against blatant, overt, widespread, socially acceptable racism. The erasure of an entire group of people.
Yeah.
With laughing and giggling and
those are Zionist talking points.
He says it.
They are Zionist talking points, by the way, 100%.
Zionist talk. He told me it's Zionist talking points.
Yeah.
That Middle Eastern Jews were expelled.
Because how Ethan uses it is to diminish the, significance of what's actually happening in Palestine. To use it to draw a false equivalency between the, the Nakba and what happened to Middle Eastern Jewish people. And there is no equivalency between the two of them. As Hassan put it, there is the Nakba was an example of lightning-quick expulsion with the explicit goal of altering the demographics of Palestine so as to establish a Jewish state in historic Palestine with a Jewish majority. That's what the Nakba was about. Hey Chris, when looking for information, what parameters do you establish for information gathered for analysis to evaluate its bias? It's okay if this can't be answered right now. Keep up the great work. I mean, I generally think about the accounts that I'm getting it from, the way in which they want to speak. So when it came to, say, Lebanon was a difficult one because a lot of the accounts posting about Lebanon are just really pro-Hezbollah. And I mean, fair enough, but they will post things that just aren't true, people have slants and there's information, and I kind of look through all of them, and there's a big realization, which is just that, by the way, this is always true. Israel is just a state that lies constantly. Israel is a state that has lied throughout its entire history about every single thing that it has done. It is founded on a lie that Palestinians basically ethnically cleansed themselves, and that Israel bears no responsibility for that, and that the founding of Israel was basically just okay. And so I always weigh up where I'm getting it from, what the slant is, and who's writing it. And of course, anything that comes from Israel always has to be held with the consideration that actually Israel is not a free state, that what they are saying there is subject to military censor. And so I guess it's kind of things like that, looking at where you're getting from. Sorry, there's a donation from someone. It's completely justified to hate certain things, in my opinion. I hate cancer, I hate war, I hate famine, I hate Pokemon card scalpers, I also hate Zionism. I mean, fair enough. Hold on.
From their homes. That's a Zionist talking point. That's my problem.
I mean, it could objectively be that, but does that inherently mean that it's false?
But
yes, and with the way that you use that as a talking point inherently means that it's either manipulative or false or yeah.
It's taken away from the fact that that's just the historical fact. He's making it sound like that. I don't know. When you say that's a Zionist talking point, it takes away validity from
the Trail of Tears was bad. Oh, that's just a Native American
Yeah, also comparing this to the Trail of Tears is fucking crazy.
Talking point.
Utterly crazy.
That's what he's saying.
If you're having an assembly and
Because the people who were expelled, there was like a much different process of how it happened. I'm absolutely sure it's pronounced Avi Schleim. Who dat, such experts. I mean, yeah, Avi Schleim. By the way, Avi Schleim for the longest time was a liberal Zionist. I don't know if any of you actually knew this. Avi Schleim used to be a liberal Zionist. But if you want to read Schleim's best work, I think in my opinion is the debate about 1948. It's really brilliant. I'll put the JSTOR link in. You might have to pay. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if you can find it, the debate about 1948 is really good. But yeah, I mean, also, by the way, as I said in my previous video, Israel compared itself to what the Americans were going to do, and it is the relationship between the settler and the colonizer that makes the two of them the same. I mean, Ethan doesn't care about this. He just wants talking points, you know?
And there's like Native American representatives. They're like, this was on the Trail of Tears, and my family this and that, and I think this and that. And they're like, oh, just another Native American talking point.
He's so happy with that comparison as well.
Yeah, I got you.
Do you think the Native Americans left because they were forced out? No, they actually wanted to move west. Most of them actually wanted to move west because the weather's better.
Also, right, where did the Native Americans go to? What was the experience of the Native Americans after they were expelled? Because for Jewish settlers who went to Palestine, they had a bad experience, but that was largely because Israel just didn't actually really want them, because they viewed them as not the ideal settlers who were brought over, but much rather like people who were brought over for the sake of... I don't know if you can post that, Em, but I mean, I condemn that post. But yeah, I mean... The Native Americans were replaced by settlers. Settlers went in, did brutal things, expelled them, and they replaced them. That is not necessarily what happened in the Middle East. They weren't expelled with the explicit goal of their replacement. And also, it's a much more complex process, and the way in which it was dealt with by just saying, you know, the Arabs did this, it's rather ridiculous. And I just mean, like, comparing it to the Native Americans is pretty fucking disgusting, because, you know, obviously the Native Americans weren't really... They didn't experience the same thing as the Jewish people did who were brought over. They were brought over as settlers to help establish a Hebrew majority in Palestine, really. They were brought over not for, you know, like, oh, you know, I really wanted them to come over. They were brought over for that specifically. And the comparison is between the Palestinians. And it's kind of mad to bring that up as well, because it is brought up exclusively with the goal of undermining what was happened to Palestinians. Like, that is literally the sake of bringing it up. It is not brought up for any other reason. Wait, he is saying Israelis are the Native Americans. He's saying that the Jewish people expelled from the Middle East, expelled from Middle Eastern countries who left Middle Eastern countries were, yeah. I also watched a really funny video of Lonabox where he was saying, like, they had nowhere else to go but Israel. Actually, no, it's a video of Benny Morris where he kind of blames Palestinians for the extermination of Jewish people, because he says, well, Palestinians were working against Jewish immigration to Palestine when that was the only place they could go. It is utterly ridiculous to say that, because when they were brought over to Palestine, they didn't just come as immigrants, as refugees. They came with they didn't come themselves, but they were brought over with the explicit goal of them working to replace the indigenous people who had inhabited Palestine so they could establish a settler colony there. And yeah, like, it's rather ridiculous, you know, to sit there and kind of make these claims. And also, as I say, it is much more complex than just saying they were all expelled, and like that all Arabs did it because of anti-Semitism, or fucking Arabs, as Ethan put it. It's just rather ridiculous. This point came about because he said in the context nuke that more Jews were displaced during the night. Exactly. You can talk about this. Were they not expelled? Some were expelled, but there were many different people who were doing different things. Let me just find the thing of it. Operation Yachin. So there are examples like this, which is much later on, where people were paid for them to go, basically. The Moroccan king was paid for it. And also, you've got to remember that most of these were post-colonial regimes set up by the British. And so, you know, there's context to all of this. How about the new Oblivion remaster? Yeah, I shouldn't have bought it. It's BDS, mate. But can we talk about the fact that Ethan's asked Sam Cedar his percentage of Ashkenaziness? My husband and I were shocked and can't forget this for days. That's just white supremacists and BS. I mean, it's quite strange. There was a lot of strange things going on there. Yeah, I know they were under French colonial rule, and just making these comments about what happened there, fucking Arabs, is really insane. But it's also just, why are you bringing this up? Are you discussing it? Are you bringing it up to discuss the history of like Jewish people from the Middle East? And people act as if Israel was the only place they would go. 300,000 went to the rest of they went to America, and many more would have gone to America if America could have done it. There were posters opposing Zionism in the 1930s. Whereabouts are you talking about? The Arabs implied by implication Palestinians were also responsible for any of the evils. Exactly. The Arabs made them Zionists as opposed to them being brought over to a settler colonial project where they were to settle in other people's land. It's wild that Ethan never levelled any European treatment of Jews. I know, people don't really care about that, but the truth is that this is just a talking point for people. Most Algerian Jews went to France. I don't know what the percentage of Algerian Jewish people who went to France is, but I've heard people saying that. Also, Native Americans aren't backed by the richest country on the planet. I mean, yeah, as well. Like, that's the thing. The comparing the material experience of Native Americans it's actually, you know what, a problem of settler colonialism. Because in settler colonialism, this is actually something that David Ben-Gurion said at some point as well. David Ben-Gurion himself compared 130,000 of Algeria's 140,000 Jews decided to go to France over Algeria. Well, thank you, Emily. I didn't know that was the exact number, but yeah, I mean, like people also act that Israel was like this safe haven. And as I said the other day, there is a quote on page 77 from a senior Israeli official of Being Israeli, which talks about how basically, hey, we didn't rescue people from the Middle East. You know, we in this sense we brought them over to establish a majority in Eretz Yisrael. M just said the same thing, Hyde Corvus. It's offensive on so many levels. Indeed it is very offensive. But it's just the truth of all of this debate and stuff. People just bring this up as a talking point to say, hey, you know, this is the point we're bringing this up to basically justify what Israel is and does. We make out that Israel, and again, I love this quote by Segev. And also, I'll just read it from here. Most Israelis are refugees or the offspring of refugees, not Zionists, but refugees. So you'll say, well, that justifies Zionism, because this was a land they were able to come to. But we need to remember that the majority of the Holocaust survivors did not come to live in Israel, and that the majority of Jews in the world are not coming to Israel. They can, but they don't want to live in this country. So Zionism is not such a great success story. It also doesn't provide security to Jews. It's safer for Jews to live outside of Israel. I mean, is this just not true? Like, Ethan himself said he wouldn't take his kids to Israel. Yeah, I mean, this is the point. Like, people are not safe in Israel. Israel provokes violence because it settles in the land of other people. Cue that Tom Segev quote about how unsafe of a haven it really is. Yeah, I mean, I like that Tom Segev quote. I think it's brilliant. It's from one of Israel's most eminent historians and someone who, for the longest time, was a bit of a Zionist and is now clearly changing his opinions by virtue of what he sees in Israel. I mean, like, also, truth be told, like, look at what Israel has reached the point of. Gideon's chariots. I mean, we can look at the New Arab. I like the New Arab. Like, this is what Israel's current plan for the Gaza Strip is. How long before Milai also starts sending us to CCOP because of anti-Israel? The truth is the reason, by the way, the reason that they want to send people to and like use authoritarian measures is the same reason that the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia are so hateful towards Palestine protests. The reason that they want that their people are so anti-Palestine protests is not really actually in part because they're about Palestine. It's because also these things have a part of snowballing into the fact of, hey, we don't actually like our government's complicity, because one of the charges that right-wingers try and level at like the pro-Palestinian movement is, why are you obsessed with something foreign? Why are you obsessed with this when you didn't speak so much about Yemen? Now, Yemen would actually be slightly different because the British government continued to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia and it offered them, you know, cover for what they were doing, but there was still condemnation. Whereas in the case of fucking Palestine, we are flying direct spy missions over the Gaza Strip in the case of the UK, and all of these countries are very fearful of the fact that protests, this is specifically to do with Middle Eastern countries as well, because a very clear Zionist talking point is, well, why won't Egypt take Palestinians? Why won't Jordan take Palestinians? Why won't these countries? These countries are entirely benevolent to Israel, and you know what? If you offered them enough money and enough legitimacy, in many other worlds they would do it. The core thing that stops them from doing it is not like a real ideological commitment to Palestine. The Jordanians and the Egyptians, their governments, have been very happy to collaborate with Israel for decades. The reason that they are unwilling to do it is because it would snowball, most likely, into a massive protest movement. They would, that would have massive consequences for them. So when you have protests about Palestine in Jordan or Egypt, very often people are discontent with the governments there and their experiences, and people being on the street and talking about Palestine all of a sudden start saying, why does our government not act for something over there, especially in the case of Egypt? Because there was an old saying in the 1960s and stuff, before Egypt normalized, that there was no war against Palestine that was possible, war against Israel that was possible without Egypt. And they were right, it's Israel's peace with Egypt basically allowed them to focus on Lebanon, But yeah, they arrest and they treat people horribly because they don't want protest movements that might snowball into something. That's why going back to the radicals and extremists thing of the United Arab Emirates, that's why these people are so fucking hot on Palestine, because they want to be authoritarian dictatorships. Trump doesn't want massive criticism, and the Palestine movement, especially over, can you think of any social movement in recent years that had this kind of thing? I mean, the Iraq War did in the UK. It had million-man marches. But the thing is with the Iraq War, right, the Iraq War had British people going over into it and Britain literally fighting a war, whereas in the case of Palestine we don't have people fighting in it, so much that the Egyptian government started paying for protests that support Palestine. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. They would like a kind of protest like that gives vent to social distress, but doesn't on the other hand. It's one of the reasons that I think isn't spoken enough to do with why Israel is going to struggle. Because if Israel displaces all the Palestinians, the amount of unrest that is going to come from that in the surrounding neighbouring countries, and the difficulties that this will bring for many of the most dictatorial Arab regimes is very, very, very tough. So, it remains to be seen what will happen. Something akin to the Arab... Who knows whether it will be something akin to the Arab Spring? Who knows? A lot of the lecturers at Exeter would say that the question of the next Arab Spring is not a question of if, but when. That at some point, social conditions are so bad in the Middle East for so many people, so many are living in poverty, and most of the concerns of the Arab Spring remain unaddressed, so that the change may come at some point. Genuinely good faith question. Call me dumb if you want. But why is it bad to acknowledge that many Jews did leave the Arab nations because of anti-Semitism? It's not bad to acknowledge that. The problem with what Ethan is doing is that he makes a false equivalency between the Nakba. The process of Jewish people leaving Middle Eastern countries was, yes, in part due to rising anti-Semitism, but it was also in relation to, all of the people who were, all of the leaderships that were there, the association of Jewish people with colonial regimes, because Britain had just sponsored a settler colonial project in Palestine, and so to just sit there and go Arabs are anti-Semitic to Jews is very interesting, because it's only really deployed, not in the context of speaking about the plight of, Middle Eastern Jewish people, and even interestingly how Ethan speaks about them. Ethan kind of speaks about them, and I guess I've never seen anyone say this, as if Middle Eastern Jewish people were rescued by Israel. When they got to Israel, they were treated horribly. They were kept in these, they were called transit camps. And by the way, I noted this in a previous one. And actually it's in this Segev article again, I'll pull it up. Look, the Jewish Agency executive had come to the conclusion that Polish Jews deserved a better reception than that of their predecessors. You can read it here if you want. It's basically how an Israeli official is talking about how Middle Eastern Jewish people deserve to be treated. In fact, there are some mad writings, I can't remember where they're from, of Soviet Jewish people who get to Palestine and then they are just hey, we don't want to live next to black people, talking about Middle Eastern Jewish people. Weren't Ethiopian Jews... I don't know how much discussion there is of Ethiopian Jewish women. I don't know how much legitimacy there is to the claim. But you know what? Even if there wasn't, the degrees of racism with which Ethiopian Jewish people and Middle Eastern Jewish people are treated within Israel, it is very interesting to purport to have this rescue fantasy where you claim, they came to Israel and they were treated very well, when you don't actually want to, you don't actually want to confront their actual treatment of them once they get to Israel. It's a very interesting way to talk about this. It does not come from a place of good faith, of wanting to talk about racism, bigotry in the Middle East. It comes from a specific place of wanting to undermine the Nakba. And the Nakba is different in the sense of, the Nakba was a planned expulsion that came very early on in the Zionist project, because its roots, basically, early on in the Zionist project, they did employ some Arab workers and Palestinians, and this fluctuates throughout periods. After the 1967, I think what Loachman refers to it as is a racial Fordist economy, and I'm no economist or expert in economics, so Yeah, but it's basically like degrees of what Palestinians were allowed to do. And actually, Being Israeli by Gershon Shafir. Okay. So there is evidence for that. I've just seen the only thing on Ethiopian Jewish women being sterilized is that I've not seen that it's like a mass uniform thing. Yeah, it's, to be honest, guys, it's fucking mad that there are 1,000 of you watching like right now. It's really interesting because I wasn't sure if I was going to get any viewers when I didn't put out that I was going to stream, and that I'm not really talking to you about drama here. I'm talking to you much more about like pure history, pure news and stuff. Sephardic babies were forcibly removed from their mothers at birth. They were, and I mean, it wasn't Sephardic generally, it was specifically Yemeni Jewish people. And there's a really interesting guy, his name is Uzi Meshulem. I think he died in prison. I'm not actually 100% sure. So he's this guy, Uzi Meshulem. This is like a bit about him. Free Palestine. Thank you, Adam. I agree with you very much. You should do multi-stream Twitch. I don't want to. The problem is, if I was streaming right now on TikTok, I couldn't say the word Holocaust. I couldn't say the word genocide and things. And also, by the way, I have been live consistently on TikTok. And one of the things with TikTok is that I could never break the fucking 300, 400 view barrier unless I streamed all the time. But if I streamed all the time, I would get banned. And then you can't get viewers over from TikTok over to Twitch. Very interesting. And it's, so sorry. Where's my bookie? I was about to say, where's my bookie Wookie, as if I'm like Russell Brand, but you know, he's cancelled. So if you want to read about material conditions of Palestinians, there's like it's called like Palestinians as an internal frontier, and it talks about like the treatment of Palestinians, how generally they're less represented within blue collar jobs. And I also read a couple of articles on JSTOR which like talks about how Palestinian education is worse, even women's employment in Palestine, although I think women's employment has actually increased in recent years. One of the things about women's employment in Palestine was that women's employment in Israel is that it has increased in recent years, but even women's employment in Israel proper was actually lower than like comparable countries within the region. It's quite interesting. Streams are always at the top of recommended. YouTube algo killing it. Good. Israel proper. Yeah, I mean, I use that term, but I mean, Palestine. But I use it because people know it. Like, people know it. You've recommended a bunch of books. Which do you recommend aside from the ones you've showed us? Oh, God. I mean, I think that the best books I've read in recent years on Palestine, as I say, is neoliberal apartheid. Like, if you really want to understand the day-to-day workings of the West Bank, this is also what I'd always say. People would ask, oh, what books do you recommend? I have read, like, a lot of things through university, so you'll only read a chapter here or there. And by the way, this is actually what academics do. Academics generally only read specific chapters for what they need at that different like point. But if you it depends what you want to read about. So if people were asking for like, oh, I'd like to learn about British imperialism there, make us a list. I do actually have one, but it doesn't work as so many people have complained. And I used to have someone who helped me with a lot of this stuff, but unfortunately she has a life and, you know, does things, and we haven't been able to do it. Yeah, I see this stream at the top before any YouTube video. Nice. Make a book collection tour. My book collection is expansive, but they're all old and stuff. I typed out in reference to Ethan saying, I'm not talking about Gaza. I see. Sorry, just back to Uzi Meshulem. So Meshulem became widely known in the affair which began in Passover. During that time, Meshulem distributed pamphlets which described the kidnappings of Yemenite Jewish children and stated that around nearly 5,000 of Jewish Yemenite immigrants were taken from their parents by the Israeli authorities and given to rich Ashkenazi Jews inside Israel. So this guy, listen to this. So this was actually, so if you know what the Waco siege is in America, the Waco siege was like, I can't actually remember what the Waco siege was. Oh, and also why I was over that amount of followers. It's very obvious why I had that amount, because people wanted to see me reacting to like a drama thing. And also I've got the title, which I doubt helps the algorithm. The Gaza Genocide Accelerates, which is probably not the best choice of title. If I'd chosen Ethan Klein, Poopy Klein, maybe that would have done better, but I'd rather keep it as this. Maybe a TikTok about book recs. I think I made a few, but I really struggle like standing in front of the camera and just recommending books. Like telling people that I hate Israel is more my forte, and explaining why you too should disdain Israel. Davidian Church, I think that was it. But Meshulem and his followers barricaded themselves. How long do you think Israel has left to exist? Sorry, my eyes are really itchy. I really need a hay fever pill, but I don't have any up here, and my eyes are going crazy. How long do you think Israel has left to exist? I don't want to make predictions. And as as Ilan Pape always says, he said whatever Israel ends with will be its most bloodiest bout. But he thinks Zionism is headed towards its end. And I would tend to agree with him in the sense of Zionism is reaching this point of what Zionism was always meant to be. If you wish to establish a Jewish state in a land that is not historically predominantly filled with Jewish people, if you wish for there to be a state that is dominated demographically by Jewish people, you are going to have to expel a massive amount of Palestinian people. And so what Israel is reaching the culmination of is basically this difficult position which it has to it's not a difficult position. This is just always what it was. Israel has problem populations in Gaza because it doesn't want to give the Palestinians a state, and it knows that if it does give Palestinians a state, Palestinians will use that state to speak about the suffering that they've experienced, to request actual justice and all of these things. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a problem. And basically because Israel's politicians, this is just the one. Smotrich says Gaza population to be expelled within months. Israel's far-right finance minister Smotrich has asserted that Israel will be in a position to declare victory in Gaza within months, according to Arutz Sheva. Speaking at conference in the illegal Israeli settlement of Ofra, said Gaza will soon be completely destroyed, with its population concentrated by an Israeli-imposed security corridor in the south. From there, Palestinians will leave in large numbers to third countries, said Smotrich, in the comments carried by Arutz Sheva. This statement from the minister follows PM Netanyahu's announcement yesterday that Palestinians in Gaza would be moved. Maybe Israel will fall at this point, but it is just the grandest crime. It is the grandest crime. Sorry, my shoulder is fucked from today. Just the gym. So I'm going to just stretch it. Yeah, using the word concentrated is fucking insane, but it doesn't surprise me. But this is what the actual plan is. So Trump is not going to agree to a ceasefire. Trump doesn't give a fuck about a ceasefire. Sorry, I'm just stretching my arm here. Yeah, I mean, it's blatant, but this is just general opinion in Israel. I mean, Yitzhak Rabin said, sorry, I'm just going to check Discord for a second. Got my PC. I don't know why Discord's not launching, but I don't care. Will Rabin's dream of Gaza being swallowed by the sea come true? So Yitzhak Rabin said, I wish I could wake up one day and find Gaza had sunk into the sea. And this was because of the really strong resistance that was going on in Gaza. Non-violent resistance predominantly at this time. And yeah, what's with leftists and showing their armpit? I don't think you could see my armpit. You can't see my armpit. My shoulder's just really fucked from bench pressing today. So, yeah. That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing this so I can show off. I just made jollof rice. It's really good, bro. Shout out. You can't see my armpit. It's not true. Ottoman was a declining empire that lost. Get over it. What? Moved where? They're going to force Palestinians to go to Egypt. I mean, they're already doing this, by the way. They are making life in Gaza so impossible and offering people no aid that this is just awful. The most I've ever bench pressed is 100 kg, which is probably like 220 pounds. I think it is exactly 220 pounds, to be honest. But today I just, I fucked up, you know. I don't know how I did it, actually. I think there's something wrong with it. And then I've got like this problem where my arms, you need to stretch more. Shoulder pain is no joke. Yeah, I think that you're 100% right. I mean, I have this problem where my arm starts playing. Iran-Iraq views on gender. Men with moustaches, women without beards. Yeah, I can. So this is the book. Gender and Sexual Anxieties. It's basically this book about how gender in Iran was very different. The depictions of Iranian women, I think really in like the 18th and early 19th century, or maybe it's 17th and 18th. I haven't read it. We just had a discussion about it in a lecture. And I've really wanted to read it. I know like a lot of my friends have read it. And apparently it's really good. It's basically about how gender in Iran was a very bizarre concept and how like men without beards were basically considered as women and having sex with them was okay. basically, and it's very interesting. And I think that the argument is that gender really came in with how the Iranian concept of gender, like, I can't remember exactly because I haven't read it, but it seems like very good and it's always been there. Yeah, there probably are free. I hate reading off a screen. I've been reading about genocide off a fucking screen all day and I've not enjoyed it one bit. I really want to read a physical copy of the book, but no, alas, I'm forced to. I am forced to read off, I'm forced to read, off, yeah. Got a dip, love your videos. Thank you. Gender is a social construct. Yeah, I mean, gender is, of course, wasn't the Persian princess period. I mean, quite possibly. Yeah, I mean, this is the stuff, and like Iranian femboy conundrum. I mean, yeah, like Iranian society is very, very, very queer, or was once upon a time very queer. Like, it's really something that's developed in recent years. And by the way, this is again the point I was making. When, like, and I guess Ethan wasn't doing this specifically, but like when you tar Arabs in a certain way and you're like, they're all anti-Semitic, they're all this, they're all that, it's not necessarily like true, and it's very problematic in the sense that it plays into this kind of stuff, you know. As a queer man, I was shocked. I never knew this. I want to know so much more. I'd recommend reading this. It's, yeah. Chris, get an e-ink display. What's an e-ink display? I've never heard of an e-ink display. What, like a Kindle? But yeah, it was just very interesting. Phones as tablet I found okay to read off. Reading on your PC. I mean, also, yeah, Iran has a lot of trans surgeries as a way to heal. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the funny thing. Iran has more progressive transgender rights than the UK, but the reason that they're progressive isn't because they're like, you know, awesomely progressive or anything. They are just doing it because they basically think that it's much more okay for someone to be a woman and to have sex with them. Yeah. Congrats on coming out, Chris. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. I mean, it's basically just like random stuff. What's the book called? What is the book called? Women with Moustaches and Men Without Beards by Afsane Najmabadi. Chris, I've been enjoying your perspective so much. Thank you. I mean, people have really liked these for a while. It's just a case of like building up an audience streaming, and that's why the problem was I love Twitch, and then I kind of got tired of Twitch because it's really hard to stream without audience interaction, because that's really what I want. I want to talk to people. I want to tell you things to like read and that I recommend, and stuff that you like. I think people will enjoy. And yeah, someone just posted loads of red triangles. I don't know if you're speaking about me or Israel. Khomeini, I didn't know that Khomeini is a manosphere, we agree. But there's also, I didn't really know this, but there are also apparently like loads of Iranian like Nazi influencers on the internet. Very interesting. Yeah, Iranian like Nazi influencers. Why does nobody mention that being anti-Semitic Arab is anti-Semitic? Because it doesn't quite operate like that. I learned of you from Hassan reacting to you. I know, I'm incredibly grateful to Hassan. What a guy. Piss rail. Oh, sorry, I was going to talk about this. Israel has said that it will give Hamas until the end of... So Israel's basically coming up with this bullshit ultimatum. And Hamas will only... This is also not going to happen. Also, on Kurdistan history, yeah, it's called... I mean, this is actually one of the books that I've read the full way through, from cover to cover, because I had to do a book review on it. It's by Martin van Brunissen, and it's called Ara Shaken State, and it's about... I cannot show you my screen there. It's called Ara Shaken State, and it's about Kurdish history under the Ottoman Empire and stuff. It's pretty good. I mean, the Iranian diaspora, like... There are a lot of lovely Iranians who I get on with very well, but there are some very interesting characters in the Iranian diaspora, like Alica Leon, for one, for example, a very interesting character. Yeah. Like the live and subscribe. Thank you. Iran was occupied by the British and the Russian during World War II, so they are also considered Aryans. I mean, Sorry, I keep feeling my shoulder because it is a bit fucked today. Also, one of my lecturers was really good. Somehow I'm forgetting his name. Oh, fuck, how am I forgetting his name? Alan Hassanian. Doctor... Oh, I don't have access to Kurdish... So, Dr. Alan Hassanian, wow, expensive book. I mean, you should be able to. I bought mine for very, very cheap. Yeah. I mean, Aryans are technically Iranians, aren't they? Yeah. But this is what Israel has planned. Israeli officials are framing Gideon's Chariot as a mission to dismantle Hamas and retrieve hostages. But the operation marks a significant escalation in the logic of collective punishment and a potential permanent occupation of all of Gaza that has characterized Israel's war on the enclave since October 2023. So Israel plans to occupy the whole of the Gaza Strip and expel 2 million people. That is a heinous crime. It is a really heinous crime. It is why I will never accept that anyone running defense for Israel in any capacity is doing anything positive, you know? It's so insane. Sorry. Is it not a common trend for any diaspora to generally be more right-wing than those in their home countries? Actually, I need to check this out. I don't know. I don't know enough about Iranian diaspora. Why are you asking me about Patrick Bet David oil? Is Patrick Bet David Iranian? So what? This is. So what? This is. Oh wow! Thank you, Divinity LA. Thank you very much. That's an incredibly kind donation. Patrick Bet David is Iranian. What? A painting that has a ton of meaning to me. One of these days, I will explain the meaning behind this painting. Meanwhile, can you name all the 8 characters? I'm the one in blue. Also, some hidden messages in the painting. It's quite an odd collection of people, you know. What? So Einstein, JFK, Tupac. Is that Rogerio Senna? That's him. That's not Reza Mohammed Pahlavi Shah. MLK. Who's that? Who's the bold gentleman? And that's obviously Abe Lincoln. Who is this? Who is this? The last person one could name him is Professor Milton Friedman, winner of Global. Jesus Christ. Who is just getting this commissioned, and why do you care about all these people? Milton Friedman, is that Lincoln? Is that Ben Gurion? I don't know if it is Ben Gurion, because Ben Gurion kind of looked like that. Oh, it's Kissinger. Fucking hell. That is a really... Wait, is that Kissinger? I don't know. Danny DeVito. I'd like Danny DeVito. Who are the statues? Is it Plato and Socrates? No, is it Plato? No, it's not Plato. One of them is Socrates, right? Socrates? Is it Socrates? I don't fucking know. I don't know what their busts look like. Chris, I am so happy I was here for you finding out this out of We do not claim him. I mean, maybe you should. He's clearly a very clever thinking man, you know. If you've got this kind of art in your house, you know, judge a man by the beautiful art that he keeps. Socrates and... If your breakdown videos mixed with someone like Ostenox, it'd make mad views. Ostenox has banger edits. I mean, I know Ostenox, actually, yeah. What the fuck is Pac doing there? Did you know that Tupac's mother, Eni Shakur, did you know that she fought... She, was... I don't know if she was a trained lawyer, but she basically, Afeni Shakur, she gave a defense of herself, at trial, when she was on trial as a Black Panther, and she managed to win it, not, I don't even know if she was a trained lawyer. Emperor Aurelius, Marcus Aurelius. Thank you. I'm trying to get Valentine. Did you not notice himself? Oh, I did notice himself. It's a very weird thing to own. I mean, I should probably get back to this, but yeah. And straight to the Tupac face. Yeah, it's an awesome story. Yeah, but she defended herself in a thing. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Bro teaching us about Tupac. Hidden with a little violence. They're saying that I'm violent, but look to America's history. They're the violent ones. Is that how it goes? They claim that I'm violent just because I refuse to be silent. These hypocrites are having fits because I'm not buying it. Defying it, envious, because I will rebel against any oppressor, and this is known as self-defense. Look through... if you investigate, you'll find out where it's coming from. Look through our history. America's the violent one. I mean, he's got a point, you know. Tupac's mum is based as fuck. Yeah, she is based. She is based. It really looks like Milton Friedman. Well, I'm going to trust you as the final say on whether it's Milton Friedman. Yeah, I'm going to trust that you know. Nodders. Tupac aunt was in Cuba, protected there. My money doesn't jiggle, it folds. Louis Theroux's, I enjoyed the Louis Theroux thing recently, but could we watch that on stream? I've seen loads of people watching it on stream. Would people be interested in watching the Settlers together? I mean, I don't want to just sit here and watch things. Like, I enjoyed watching Ethan because I could just sit there and kind of debunk it, you know? She was a dynamic person, a figurehead in black empowerment, but also suffered from mental health. Yeah, isn't that why she died? She passed away of substance abuse. Tupac's godmother, is also Assata Shakur. Nice. I'm not going to watch it today because I'll probably only stream for like 20 more minutes, really. Love these longer streams. I'm an academic myself in political design myself, so I appreciate all the articles. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting. I think you can. Hassan watched it on stream. Should be okay. Please, yes, watch it. Probably would get taken down by... I guess I couldn't keep the VOD up, maybe. But I saw people watching it. Like, I could ask people who were involved with it and see what they say. Oh, fucking hell. My shoulder is a bit fucked. A block away. She's in Cuba. I was on YouTube and then it got taken down. And I saw people watching it from like Twitter or something. I'm glad that there's so many people here watching right now. The guy who Louis Theroux in West Bank has been harassed. Issa Amro. Yeah, Issa Amro's an interesting character. He has some pretty interesting views, but he seems like a good guy, you know. Do you have any recommendations about keeping about the kibbutzim? What do you mean keeping about the kibbutzim? Bro's getting off live as soon as Hassan is going to go live. Well, that wasn't really my plan. I'm going live so I can eat dinner. So I didn't even know that Hassan was going live at that time. And I won't be probably watching Hassan. I've got some plans. I've got some really serious plans. You need some magnesium muscle spray. I mean, quite possibly. And to the person who was asking, it's because I definitely didn't warm up for bench pressing today. I think Tupac's whole mission was to be a rapper and make a bunch of money and be famous and loved and respected. But that's just a guess. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about him. So many Iranians in chat. Kheli khoob ast. Manidan dost daram. Oh, kheli khoob. You popped up on my feed and I appreciate you, little man. Are you British, Chris? I mean, guess. I don't know what I'm even eating tonight. Just messing with you. Usually goes live. Yeah, I mean, I've always normally gone live. It wasn't really my major plan. I hope Bulk isn't in BDS. And Chris, it's 6:45 in Narnia. Are you planning on getting a PhD? I don't know. It kind of depends. I find making YouTube videos very satisfying. I find like the whole process of writing out scripts and stuff very good. And PhDs are a very expensive thing to pursue. And I'd like to, to like push further my dissertation, but my previous dissertation. But I don't know. Do you know any Arabic? Shwe 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 shwe. I mean, like literally basic words. But the goofiest accents ever. Na man ایران دوست دارم خیلی خوب گفتی a nice accent, very well spoken. See, Hassan is doing a charity stream watching Ethan's content puke. I mean, I don't know if I could watch Ethan's content puke again. I've watched that fucking twice. I do speak a little bit of Farsi, yes. Not right now. Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best idea. You like Harry Potter, but actually based... Well, Harry Potter fought against Voldemort, you know, so... I like Electronic Intifada at times. I like the editor, John Elmer. I think John Elmer's brilliant. You should get a PhD so you can be the leading authority on Ethan Klein. Well, a lot of people are saying that I should do an Ethan Klein centered PhD, so perhaps it is a really good idea, you know, to just do it about Ethan Klein, you know. Maybe that's just all I need to do to get a thing. To get a good PhD and good marks. Maybe I'll get funding for it from Bad Empanada and Hassan. Yeah, Chris, you have somehow brought about the entirety of Iranian leftist diaspora together. I mean, I guess it's because I made a video about Alica Leon. Like, let's be honest, a lot of Iranian leftists really don't like him. Boycott Gurgle. I mean, I know. I'm literally just familiar with Google and people are saying that it's dog shit, you know, so I need to kind of move it. He was a shit to Ron and Hermione. Was he? I haven't seen Harry Potter in ages. You'd be the number one Ethan Klein hater. You don't get a PhD in America, at least not for the next 4 years. Most shit sucks. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the problem. Which Arab countries did you mainly cover in your studies? Palestine... I didn't really cover Iran that much, so Palestine was the main focus of my undergrad. A lot on Egypt, bits and pieces on Jordan and democracy there. Syria was the one who I didn't really do much on, basically. Yeah, I didn't really do much about. I didn't really do much on then. I've not seen the Gaza Ghetto Uprising. Actually, you know what? I could watch that on stream because I've heard the Gaza Ghetto Uprising is really good, and I guess maybe I'd have some insights into that. Yeah, maybe I could actually do that. I don't know. I guess I don't want to start it if I'm not going to be able to finish it. But I've heard that it's really good. I will watch that actually, maybe. So all of the stuff I was reading today was kind of like, talking about it in the context of saying October the 7th was genocidal. And I'm not sure I see that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure I see it as genocidal. I just don't. I don't think it's based on exterminating Jewish people and like the concept of Judaism, Brave is best, I believe, so my lecturer says. Is Brave best? Isn't it something to do with fucking crypto or something? Yes, that would be good for a future stream. Manchester is awesome. My daughter went there. Manchester does seem like an interesting place. Isn't Brave Chromium? No, it was not. Nope. Why was my comment deleted? I don't know why your comment was deleted. Maybe one of the mods deleted it if you said something racist, if you said something bigoted. I don't know. Tomorrow. I mean, I could go live tomorrow. I kind of want to work on the Douglas Murray thing, and I kind of want to work on this Gaza Genocide Accelerates. Maybe I'll do the Douglas Murray one because I'm prepped for it, so I should do it. And then I wanted to do one about the British mandate in Palestine and things like that. It's just obviously been like quite a few busy days, it's like been quite a few busy days. Yeah, I think it's like completely fine to talk about war crimes on October the 7th, but I thought Martin Shaw was much more interesting in the sense of he said, like, how would you say that when, people love to bring up, well, they killed Arabs as well and stuff on October the 7th, so yeah. YouTube sometimes auto-deletes. Maybe it was that then, because I didn't delete it. I don't know. I've been using Firefox, I just can't get used to it. I don't like the UI, I'm just so used to it. Have you been to Henley is the one. Keep it up, all really informative. Thank you very much, Hadster. Very, very kind. Anything on North Africa? Your YouTube auto mod is vicious. I have it on normal. You should react to some of Remy Kanazi and Rafif Ziada? How about the Havara Agreement? The Nazis wanted to move Jews in Germany to Palestine. The Havara Agreement wasn't necessarily about moving Jewish people. It was actually much more about moving Jewish property. It was quite a considerable amount of money that was actually moved over as well. I think it was like $30 million or something back in those days. So it's like hundreds of millions. Have you watched Andor? No. I don't know what Andor is. Is that something Star Wars related? Maybe I said something racist, a bit of an extreme thing to say. I don't know what you said, and maybe don't say it then. Google really has a chokehold on so much. I know. You even think about... It's interesting, because it's kind of like why Elon Musk fucking burnt the concept of Twitter. Like, why the hell would you burn the concept of Twitter? No other social media platform was able to get, like, the concept of just posting to literally be, like, synonymous with the concept of what they were saying. So, for example, tweeting. In the same way, like, why would you get rid of it? Like, Grammit isn't the same. But I'll just speak about this before I end the stream. So, Israeli officials are basically planning to ethnically cleanse all of the Gaza Strip. Like, this is the plan. By the way, this is also why it was so pathetic that we've had, like, full years of saying not genocide in Gaza. Anyone who is denying the genocide is facilitating the genocide of the Palestinian people, basically. Sorry. Anyone who's saying that there's no genocide in Palestine is saying that they're facilitating the genocide, because we've reached a point now where Israel feels comfortable expelling Palestinians. It's going to be Haaretz wrote a much more scared article, I would put it as. Basically, what Haaretz was saying is, and it's quite interesting. Let me just pull it up. There was also another interesting article from like a hostage. She was like talking about how it was from like one of her parents. Now she's here. She understands why she took so long to get her back, because basically she's just talking about how much more Israel was interested in genocide. Man, all this talk about history and law sure has me wanting to play a vast open video game where you role-play fantasy/post-apocalyptic scenarios. You can use library thing to share books. Can you? This isn't a book, this is from this recent article. So, when Netanyahu interviewed Zamir before his appointment, the chief of staff, he told them the military would need 3 months to reconquer Gaza and another 9 months to effectively pacify the area. So Israel is talking about another 9 months of doing genocide and doing all of these things. And yeah, do you support the Houthis? I support the Houthis in what they're doing against Israel, 100% yes. I support them in blockading the Red Sea. I think every country in the West should take actions such as these. I think it is a moral thing to oppose the state of Israel, to oppose the crimes that they are committing, Asman and Tectone piss me off. Yeah, I mean, I think that this whole stuff about, like, being, I agree with what Hassan says, that people can change, that you can be hypercritical of what you did. I'm not so sure about, shooting and crying and the concept of that. Like, that's not great. Like, just being like, woe me for what happened there. But like what the Americans did in Afghanistan, Iraq, and all of these places are totally obscene crimes that are truly unbelievable, you know. I haven't seen Scahill's reporting with Hamas. Saw the latest post where you will be punished if you don't. I don't think they will. I don't think that's going through. My people didn't like it then. Mans isn't based. I'm not sure what you mean, Mans isn't based. Against genocide, there is a legal... I do think there is a legal moral obligation to intervene, and I think it's bizarre that what Ethan's just trying to defend it. I think that what Israel is... As I was literally just saying, like, look... This is what Israel's plan is. Israel's plan is to expel 2 million Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. It will then move to expelling people in the West Bank, or concentrating them in smaller and smaller spaces within the West Bank, so life is untenable. It will continue to carry out military operations as Palestinian resistance increases as Israel moves closer to expulsion, and then it will do eventually the same in Israel proper. This is the whole point. Israel does not want the concept of Palestine to exist, and this is why genocide is the only apt term to describe it. And with Greater Israel, Israel has good relations with Saudi Arabia, so I don't know how much it would want to expand closer to there. And I mean there are fanatical people in the Israeli government and who want to do this. Why is Hezbollah and Hamas on the UK list? Like, what did they do to the UK? Or is that just one of those things, the enemy of my enemy is the type of thing? I mean, in part, Hezbollah's on there because Hezbollah is on there because of the American barracks bombing. I'm sure that's why that's on there. But Hamas is on there because of a politically motivated thing by Priti Patel, really. Because designating Hamas's military wing. Okay, I mean, I think that there's a question to be made of why you're doing that. I want to see what you sent that was deleted. Israel isn't at fault. It's Netanyahu government that is at fault here. I mean, you didn't have to delete that message, by the way, but saying that the Netanyahu government is the one at fault. No. When you go and establish a Jewish state in a land of another people, I think that the thing is that ultimately when you establish this here, you are going to have a problem with basically Palestine. Can you elaborate on the Jewish right to return in Iraq and how that proclamation still has current day standing? I mean, I'm not sure it really. I'm not sure it does. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know all that much about it. I'll be honest. I'm sure that if Iraq wasn't in the current situation that it was, that they had a progressive left-wing government rather than dictatorial regimes that were propped up by the West, and then what it is now, that it would be different. That it would be different and that Jewish people would be able to return. But yeah, when it comes to establishing a Jewish state in another people's land, who said over and over again that they didn't want, settlers living in their land, that they didn't want to give up what is rightfully theirs. I mean, it's fair enough. It's kind of the thing that Abdul Razak Takriti spoke to me about it. I was like, how do you deal with people talking about Palestinians as rejectionists? And his response was, well, I would rephrase the question. What are Palestinians rejecting? They are rejecting giving over their... Palestinians are rejecting giving over their birthright, their ancestral homeland, and giving it away to a state that was not, was established only exclusively with the support of the British. And so it's kind of this thing of look, when you sit there and say Israel isn't at fault, Israel is always at fault, because there shouldn't be a settler colony in the Middle East that has continued with an open frontier of settlement for the last 100+ years, that has instituted a brutal system of apartheid, torture and murder and all of these things. And it's very difficult for someone to sit there and say, well, it's just Netanyahu. I mean, I don't think that that's true. I don't think it's true at all. And I think that, as Segev puts it in that article, I think that the amount of Israelis who actually oppose what Netanyahu does is a joke. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of people. And there's not mass dissent, and people say that they're against it, but that's as far as it goes. They don't actually want to do anything to stop their government doing genocide. They don't want to confront the military occupation and all of these things. And so I struggle with it. I don't know if people like the streams. I'm worried I'm a bit boring. I'm not sure. This is fun. We're on the rise of the new streamer arc. I can't wait for drama arc. This show is getting good. I mean, I'm sure that there'll be people who want drama with me, but I don't know. I don't know. What are you going to say? I'm sure that the person who was trying to get me to say that I felt a bit uncomfortable when I heard someone who was clearly from Israel, and I was like, that person might have really genocidal views, they might have genocidal views. It's like saying it's just Trump in the USA. No, there is an entire structure and history there. Of course, I think Trump is just a really good example of what the USA is. He's just lays bare. Thank you, baby. They really lays bare. That he really just lays bare what Israel. He really lays bare what America is. That he makes it clear that, you know, Israel is a settler colony. That America is a settler colony that has no problem with what it is doing in the Middle East. Ultimately, that America is a settler colony. Like, he really, really, really just has no problem with what Israel is doing. Biden supported it to the hilt. He let Israel do whatever it wants, but he just hid behind the idea that he didn't want them to do everything. You know. That's the truth be told. Like, I think that Trump is an indictment of what America's become. Like, it's kind of like Pete Hegseth, you know, having this really genocidal guy who is having this really openly genocidal drunk sex pest as your American Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. You know, I think it's very bizarre. I don't think it's very bizarre. You can tell I'm flagging a bit, but I think it's just very indicative of what they really are. You know, I think that they're. Do you think we will live the downfall of the USA? I mean, I think it's already headed towards that point. You know, that America has so many problems, and it's just like an open descent into fascism. And also, what would I say about my time on Hassan's stream? It was great, and I'm incredibly grateful for Hassan giving me a platform. I really enjoyed it, and I'm incredibly grateful. And thank you, Dreams for Sale. Oh, Netanyahu speaks for most Israelis. Yeah, that's what Kahana used to say. Kahana used to say, I only say what you're all thinking. You know, I only say what you're all thinking. And I think he was right. I think Kahana was right. Kahana said that, you know, and that's a fuck thing to say, but I think Kahana was right in the sense that he spoke for most Israelis. I don't think what he was saying was moral or just and that establishing a Jewish state was acceptable there. But I do think in the sense of, yeah, expelling Palestinians is a good thing. Like, it's all that Israel needs to do. Make another state, call it Israel, and make it not do genocide and apartheid. 100% I wouldn't care to talk of it. I mean, 100%. Like, Israel has instituted a brutal system of apartheid and all of these things, and I think you could change. I made a Hamas Porter meme, but I don't think anyone will want to post it, because I don't think anyone will get the meme. I think that there may be a mixture of Zionists, you know, and such, who get it. If you were to go on Hassan's stream again, would you want to do it if it were up to you? What would you want to do? Exactly the same as we did, talk and watch some reacts to stuff. I enjoyed it. Thank you, BBB. We are living through the downfall of the USA right now. I mean, increasingly. There was a quote that I always liked that was in like a random YouTube video I once saw, and it's like someone goes, I don't think it's that. He said we're gonna be a third world country with a Gucci belt on, and I think that there's a point to that. You know, that they're gonna be a third world country with a Gucci belt on if they're not fucking careful. I mean, increasingly, yeah. Did you speak on the Houthis capitulating to the US? Did the Houthis capitulate to the US? I don't think they did. Or has something changed? Oh, what? Oh, what the fuck? This is pretty fucking breaking news. Trump announces the US will stop bombing the Houthis. The United States will stop strikes against the Houthis, President said. Trump, ahead of a meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, said, the Houthis approached the administration on Monday night, indicating they want to stop fighting. He said, what the fuck? The military has struck at least 800 targets in Yemen. Trump has framed the move as a handshake in exchange to end the Pentagon's bombing campaign, in exchange for the Houthis no longer attacking American ships. It's not a deal, he said. They said, please don't bomb us anymore. We're not going to attack your ships. The threat of the Houthis in the Red Sea's waterway. What? This is bizarre. I'm not sure that this is... let me check some of the accounts. I want to check some of the pro-Yemen accounts. I'm just reading through some accounts. So this is apparently what, like, this guy's pretty good on Yemen news. He's obviously very pro-Houthis, but, you know, he talks about, he talks about Yemen in a very interesting way. Halting the targeting of US ships in the Arabian and Red Seas in exchange for ending the American aggression on Yemen in return for Sana's right to continue responding to the Zionist aggression on Yemen and to keep supporting the people of Gaza until the war on Gaza ends later this week before the US president's visit to the region. This is what I understood from the feature of an agreement as hinted by the US president a short while ago. If this analysis is correct, then it is a very significant achievement for Sana'a, as it would have fulfilled the promise to support Gaza and achieved its goal of support. I mean, this is obviously from a very pro-Yemen account. I don't know if that's what is going on. 100. America bowed to Yemen's demands. I mean, this is obviously a very pro-Yemen account, but everything else that you're going to get is from pro-Western accounts. But I had not even fucking seen this. This does surprise me, because I think, like, why would they back down after, like, yeah, what Israel did yesterday was pretty significant, but surely they would talk to them. The threat of Houthi attacks. Wait, is there a video of Trump saying this? Sorry, I obviously need to get better at this, like showing you what I'm searching and stuff. Yeah, here we go. Speaking from...
I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose.
I thought I had membership. Wait, do I not have memberships enabled? 1 second, let me see if I can do it. I'll do it for the next stream. Thank you so much, members go up. These are incredibly kind donations.
Of what we were doing, so that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas.
He's so weird. Sailing down the various seas. Very strange.
It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word.
America didn't blow up the airport. America didn't blow up the airport. That was Israel.
And we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis. Effective immediately. And Marco, you'll...
Why does he keep saying Houthis?
Let everybody know that. Okay. Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation mission. These guys, these are, a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping. And the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And so I think it's an important development.
But this doesn't really make sense, because they said they wanted to, like, cut off the senior leadership of the Houthis. They wanted to remove them from power. It's just not happened. So, like, what? Like, what did they say? I mean, no, as well, I don't want to go on the fucking Atlantic. It's fucking crazy that I can just do this. Just like look at fucking senior like American documents just leaked to the fucking Atlantic. Sorry, 1 second. Here we go. Look. Right. I've got to go now, but thank you for your stream. No, thank you for coming. Thank you for all the support. Having 800 to 900 people in here is fucking crazy. Freedom of navigation. Look, here we go. The Hexeth message goes on to state, waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. Two immediate risks waiting. This leaks and we look indecisive. Israel takes an action first or Gaza ceasefire falls apart. And we don't get to start this on our own terms. We can manage both. We are prepared to execute. Sorry. And if I had to final go or no go vote, I believe we should. This is not about the Houthis. I see it as two things: restoring freedom of navigation, a core national interest, and restoring re-established deterrence. But we can easily pause. And if we do, I will all. So it's kind of like, here we go. We also need to figure out how to enforce. But no US ships really go through here. It's more about European. Hold on. The Vance account goes, 3% of US trade runs through the Suez. 40% of European trade does. It's really bizarre. It's really bizarre. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. We can carry on watching Trump.
And we'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar. And that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make. Like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. I guess Monday night, some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make. Like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement...
It's probably Iran nuclear deal, right? I don't know. I don't know if it's Iran nuclear deal or... Thank you, Jojo. Incredibly appreciated. And thank you, 742617000027. But I don't know. What would it be? Or it's Israel taking the West Bank.
Will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement. But thank you.
So him and Carney are fucking then. Right, let's just have a look what DropSite said. In April 10th, senior Houthi official said, if the US stops targeting Yemen, we will cease our military operations against it. We do not consider ourselves at war with the American people. While US officials have framed Houthi as targeting commercial shipping, the Houthis have focused on US warships and drones involved in bombing Yemen, including attacks on destroyers and cruise missiles, drones and anti-ship missiles. Importantly, al-Bukhati said the offer does not extend to Israel or Israeli-linked ships. That's interesting. That's interesting. So this is previous, prior to this recent thing. And they were saying that they were willing to do it. When the Zionists... I mean, with Yemen, I don't think they're going to stop with fighting Israel until Israel stops bombing Yemen. Trump doesn't understand what he was told. He was told what Yemen repeated. Stop bombing us and we'll stop attacking US ships. That's really interesting. I mean, really, it's a massive fucking boon for them because they didn't get fucking destroyed in the sense of the way that they were claimed to be, you know? I don't know. Very interesting. That's a massive development. I didn't even realise that was happening. Fucking hell. Very interesting. Let's see. Because what else could be the announcement that Trump's going to make? I mean, I don't know. I don't think they really achieved much in Yemen. And it's mad to do that a day after Israel struck the and also, by the way, they were fucking tweeting a few days ago. Was it Hegseth that saying they've shot, the Houthis have shot us and every bullet shot is one from Iran. What the fuck? Honestly, what the fuck? That's really interesting. I'll see what they're saying. Well, the Iran deal would be really bad for Israel, and so I guess in return Israel is allowed to go into what's it called? Could be a trade deal with China. I mean, but haven't there been trade deals with China? I don't know. Both Katz and Netanyahu said the attack will undermine the Houthi transport abilities. I mean, great. Trump announces end to Yemen strikes amid pressure from Dems, MAGA. Trump's bombing campaign of Yemen has sat uncomfortably with his pledge on the campaign trail. I guess also, by the way, they did lose quite a lot of shit in Yemen. A lot of Reaper drones. Alden will have tweeted about this well. They lost a Reaper drone. They lost the fucking F-16 or something. Here we go. F-18, sorry. We can read Alden's commentary on it. Both of the two major US aircraft carriers deployed to the US Red Sea to the Red Sea are thousands of kilometers away from the nearest Yemeni shore. They've lost multiple M9Q Reaper drones every week since March. They've lost 2 F-18 fighters, one to alleged friendly fire and the other to slipping off the ramp and into the bottom of the sea. They've lost like 4 Navy frogmen to fuck all. And with every bomb they've ever dropped, the immediate local response has always been, we will never abandon Gaza. A statement that has repeated every single Friday when millions of Yemenis take to the streets to reaffirm their loyalty to Palestine. It's a really interesting decision. It's a really interesting decision. I don't know. Felix Chapo was talking about maybe 37. I think it was like 18, 20 Reapers have been lost, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So what is your analysis of this? You know what? I don't know. It remains to be seen, because I don't think the Houthis will abandon Gaza. I don't think they will. It seems pretty interesting for Trump to accept that, when clearly, by the way, this was about facilitating Israel's genocide, and Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen literally just struck Ben Gurion Airport a few days ago. Maybe they're assuming that what Israel did is a deterrent. I don't know. It's very hard to have an analysis on something like this because seemingly, you know, who knows what they're doing? Who knows what they're doing? Guys, I'm going to call the stream here because I only had planned 2 hours. So I'm going to go eat because I'm starving. I don't know if people will want to stream tomorrow and stuff, but maybe I'll do one. I'll let you know. I'll post it earlier on the tab. Thank you for all of the support and everything. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day. It's greatly appreciated, and thank you again. I'll leave the VOD up so anyone can watch it if they want.